Hey everybody, what's going on? Happy Friday night. It is the 6th of January in the year 2023. We all made it to 2023. Who would have thunk it, Chris?
Yeah, I know it's been a few days, but it seems like it's going by really quick already.
Now, Chris, what year were you born?
93.
So you're going to be 30 this year.
Yep.
The big 30. You know, after 30, you don't really care about your birthday anymore.
No.
Until you hit 40.
Yeah. I think you care after every 10 years, after when you hit 30.
I could see that. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I could see you caring every 10 years. 40, 50, 60. Sure, that's all. Those are all big ones. But it really, like, once you hit 30, you don't care whether or not you're 33 or 37. You really don't.
Right. No.
But I'll tell you, once you hit 30, man, everything starts hurting. You know, starts you're not as young as you used to be. You're not Superman like you think you've always been, you know. It takes a lot longer to recover from certain activities. You can't drink as much. I mean, you can. It just takes you longer to get over it.
Right.
Like so if you in your 30s, if you drink on a Friday night, your weekend's gone. Your weekend's done.
Yeah, it takes you the whole weekend.
And then some. Yeah. The only key that I found to it, especially like camping. Camping's the one time of year that I just let everything go. The only thing that I found is you just keep drinking. Like, you just don't stop. That's the only way to kind of not have to be in bed for a couple days.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah. But how was your week, man? How did that go?
It's not too bad. Back in the swing of work, and after the holiday season, and just kind of getting back into the swing of things again, and not too bad. How about for you?
Yeah, I hear you on that one. On the in back of the swing of things at work and all that's great. But I'll tell you, also trying to promote the network and getting the network stuff out there. Lots and lots of stuff going on. And the beginning of the year is the time to find all that stuff before it actually comes up and you have a chance to make something of it. So we're looking into a lot of stuff, and we're looking into a lot of live events and streaming, and so check that out because we're looking in for a lot of that. So definitely going to be a great year all around.
Yes,
and of course the Oregon Cougars, don't forget about that. So that's in 5 days.
Yeah.
Work sucked this week, George. I read something earlier, and this is straight out to you, George. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I got to say, I saw something earlier that said, I can't go because my mom said no. And that was our favorite excuse when we were a kid. I wish I could still use that one.
Yeah.
Now I can't go because I don't want to. And that doesn't sound as polite as,
no.
Well, I would, but my mom said no.
Or then back then too, even if you didn't want to go, you could, you could just tell your friend or whoever, no, I can't go. My mom wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't want to go.
No, I get it. It was much easier to get out of stuff.
Yeah.
I used to just tell my mom and be like, just say, I'm about to ask you a question and just say no. And then I ask the question and she'd say no. And I'd tell my friends, see, told you, I can't do it. George, I'm having my mom call my boss then when I'm sick. Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
that's great, man. That's great. That's some funny stuff. It's true. It's the kind of things that you wish you could go back to. These kids that want to grow up and not be kids anymore, I don't get it. I wish I could be a kid again.
Well, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I want to do this when I grow up, do this when I grow up. And then you get to that point, and you're like, I don't want to do that.
I think the dumbest thing I ever did as a kid is wanted to be an adult.
Mm.
You know what I find? You'll find this as you find the one and have a family of your own. Mm-hmm. You'll figure this one out. And this one is the one that sucks, I think, the most for me as an adult. If I actually sat down and figured out how much money I spent on groceries versus the percentage of the groceries I get to eat myself, it'd be pretty putrid, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. I bet it's... I couldn't even put a number on it, but I bet you it's in the 10 to 15% range.
Oh, wow.
Now, that, of course, doesn't count my personal stuff. So when I buy snacks for myself, right? But I'm talking like when you go grocery shopping. Yeah, I bet it'll probably get a little better because we got a couple leaving the house this year, but we had 4 teenagers here at one time. So I guarantee you during that time, yeah, it was probably 10% or less of the groceries that, I actually get to eat that I buy. So that's one thing as an adult that you're like, damn. And then, the kids don't really understand it. They just think there's some magical food fairy that shows up in the middle of the night and puts all the food in the house,
We had to go get the food. It just didn't show up. And that's with most things, so.
What is with most things? That's people don't understand it until you actually go through it yourself.
Kind of like when you're a little kid, like. I was gonna say, like when you're a little kid, can I have this? No, you don't have any money. Money just doesn't grow on trees. That's the expression. So
expression that every parent used, and it's true. It doesn't.
No.
So let me ask you, Chris. This job you got, is it kind of your first real job? Like your first?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've done volunteer work, but.
Well, right, and you've had probably side jobs or odd jobs here and there, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like your first actual commuting job where you go to every day.
Yes.
So let me ask you, because this is a big reality check for a lot of kids that end up with that.
Mm-hmm.
You work 40 hours a week, right?
Yes.
Is it kind of depressing when you get that paycheck and you see all of the taxes that are taken out of it for various things?
Yes.
I know. Yeah, it is.
You're like, wait a minute. I worked 40 hours this week for this.
I know. Like, I made this much money, but then I lost this much money.
Right.
I think wasn't there a meme or something where somebody, maybe I heard it on TV, but somebody just got a job, called the cops because they thought their money was stolen.
Right. It's true. You don't really understand it until you have a job that you're looking at it and you're like, damn, wait, why am I paying out of my pocket for this? Like, I'll give you an example for me. So I live about 15 miles from the city of Eugene, where the University of Oregon is, right? And so I live about 15 miles north of that, and because I work in Eugene, I get public safety taxes taken out of my check for the city of Eugene. Public
Wow.
safety that I don't get to use because I don't live there. But because I work in Eugene, I get to pay the taxes for it.
See, that's just crazy.
Right?
But I kind of get that because I've heard like baseball and football coaches, like I heard McCarthy talk about it. Every game they go to, he has to pay taxes, even though he doesn't live in that state. Or
It's all taxes are all crazy, man.
yeah,
Let's not forget that during our forefathers' times, okay, the people that built this country and wrote the Constitution of this country, the Boston Tea Party. Does anyone know what that was over, by the way, without looking it up in a history book? I can tell you it was over a 3% tax. 3. All the politicians wanted to tax everybody 3%. And they wanted an overthrow of the government. Look how much you're taxed right now.
what, 8%? I think it was.
Oh
maybe
my
more.
goodness. 8%? I wish. But I will say this. In Oregon, we're taxed more because we're taxed on our income also because we don't have sales tax. So here's my problem with that in Oregon. There's really only three categories of people that end up paying taxes in the state of Oregon. That's business owners, homeowners, and the working class. Because if you don't have a job, you don't pay taxes because you don't have any income. And you probably don't own a home, and you certainly don't own a business. Right? So you're not going to pay
legally.
taxes. I'm just saying, right? Exactly. so you're not going to pay taxes. And so for me, I almost would. I get that you guys have sales tax and you probably don't like it in your states, but I'll explain why I think sales tax is better than income tax. And it's because if there's a sales tax, everybody contributes to the tax because everybody buys stuff. So it's more of a level tax playing field, if you will. Because if you don't have a job, but you go to the convenience store to buy a soda and a hot dog, you still have to pay taxes on that. So you're still contributing to the tax for the state, even if you don't have a job. Where in states like mine that don't have an income tax, you're not contributing anything to taxes. But you're the first one that'll bitch when they raise taxes, even though you don't pay them.
That's true, yeah.
So, anyway, that enough of that. We talked about that for way too long. 13 minutes of the show went into that.
Wow.
What brought that topic up?
What did bring that topic up, Chris? I think we were just talking.
I think so, yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
I did ask Chris, this is like his first real 9-to-5 job where he goes in every day and does all that. And so it kind of started when I asked him, isn't it sickening to get that check and see how much taxes is taken out of it?
Yeah. And the more you work, the more the taxes are taken out. And
I know. I watched this video. Someone was explaining it, and they're like, so if I work overtime, but then see if I do this and I get a sales bonus, then I make more money. And they're like, well, actually, we tax that bonus at a different rate because it's a bonus.
Yeah, we go out for a whole show probably.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Big B, how was your week, man?
It's been busy, working in the casino world. End of the year, the beginning of the year is always busy trying to get those high rollers in to celebrate stuff. And so we're kind of slowing down here, but, it is what it is. Those busy days are nice and stressful, and the slow nights are nice and relaxing, but can be stressful just as well. So, it's been a good start to 2013, and I'll explain later when we on my final thoughts.
Well, it's 2023, not 2013. But,
2023. Yeah, you're right.
Say, I mean, I wish it was 2013 still. I'd be like 10 years younger. And I wouldn't wake up hurting, and I wouldn't throw my back out while scooping ice cream or something.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
It's funny we were talking about being younger. So when you're younger, you can party all night. You look and it's 4:30 in the morning. You're like, I got to be at work at 7. You roll up home, you change your clothes, and you roll into work, and it's no problem.
Take a shower to wake up. Yep.
Right, and you're fine. You try doing that at 35.
J-Mac, I know you're older, Chris. We might have to ask you this question down the road. What age group would you like to go back and relive?
Think about that one, Chris. Think about that one and give us an answer by the end of the show. We'll revisit that. What about you, the Big B? What age group would you like to go back to?
Honestly, I've always said it. If I could go back and redo high school again, I would. Because I know I goofed off so much and lost, didn't care. But the way my life's turned out, it's great now. But coming out of high school and struggling, I would have emphasized more on high school than anything, I think.
Yeah. It's tough for me because I pretty much became a parent right out of high school, and so I don't know what it's like not to be a parent.
Okay.
And so for me, like my youngest, the year she graduates, I'll be 44 years old.
Wow.
And for the first time in my adult life, I won't have, that responsibility at home, that reason you have to go home. I'll be able to do whatever I want. And so that's always a tough question for me because I haven't lived that yet.
Okay.
So for me, I want to experience it first before I tell you that I want to go back and change something. And it's a double-edged sword for me because what I tell everybody to have kids really young, no. But what I tell people to wait, no. It's
you're never ready. You're never ready.
You're never ready. And again, I'm 44 when they're all gone, which means I have the last 40 years of my life to live however I want to.
Yeah.
But did I miss out on doing stuff when I was younger because I had kids? So it's a double-edged sword. You can look at it one or two ways, to be honest.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I see that. Anyway, you see the Pray for DeMar thing up here in the corner, and let's not forget that. There's just great news coming out of Cincinnati today. He's awake. He was, holding the hands of his family members. They took the breathing tube out. I read the actual press release from the hospital, and they are super thrilled with how he's coming out of everything. They are concerned, however, that there will be some diminishment in the speech and things because there was a little bit of time where he was without oxygen, and so that they're just not sure that that's going to be back 100% totally.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, let's not dwell on the negative. Let's look at the positive. He's awake. He's alive. He won the game of life, and that is all that matters.
I was just going to state that. The doctor saying that when his first question was, who won the game?
Yeah.
And he stated that you won it. You won the game of life. Best response I've ever heard. I mean,
Oh, yeah. And he did.
It just shows you don't take life for granted.
No. And what about, something else, two other things to speak on that. Don't forget T. Higgins because of everything he went through this week.
Yep.
Where everyone, the guy got death threats. Can you even imagine that? Can you even?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Come on. It was a normal hit.
It was, yeah.
It was a tackle. I mean.
Yeah. And then the other person you don't want to forget is the assistant.
Yep.
The assistant What was his title?
Like medical
assi-
director.
Yeah,
something like that.
the assistant medical person on their sidelines that didn't hesitate and started rescue
CPR.
breaths and CPR right there on the spot. Because without that, we're probably having a different conversation, to be completely honest.
And can we, the fans, stop posting? I saw a couple posts, maybe 5 at the most, that this was all a stage set up by the NFL, because look how fast the ambulance got onto the field and shipped up and stuff like that. Trust me, if NFL was ever to stage something and this was it, we would not have NFL football this weekend.
Oh,
They did not stage this one bit.
Not at all. Not at all. It was an unfortunate, unprecedented accident that happened.
Now, was it confirmed, or are they just still speculating that he died twice?
I've heard that.
That was confirmed, actually.
Oh, that was confirmed. Okay, I wasn't for sure. I mean, again, I don't want to keep pulling up the negative, but I mean, all the positives that's coming out of this story. Great for him, great for his family, great for his teammates. FaceTimed them all, I think, during their meeting today or yesterday.
And they said he was able to do this, and then did the heart signal, and was able to write out a note to them that said, love all my boys.
Talking very softly or very weakly, I guess, but no, definitely great for him.
Well, he did have the tube, the breathing tube. So I mean, it's still a little rough to talk. It's no fun.
But hey, all positives, man. Everything looking up for him. And then just the overwhelming positive that came out of all of this. So that they look. And look, I'm not saying that what he makes to play a game isn't a good amount of money, because they brought up his salary, and he is on a rookie deal. I believe his yearly salary was something like $760,000, and there's like $150,000 in incentives. So let's face it, he's not going to make $1 million. He's not one of the ones that make a ton of money to play a game. But the one thing that I saw out of it is that he was so selfless in the fact that he started that toy drive for the kids. And
out of college, wasn't it, too?
Out of college. Yeah, he didn't even
do that. Him and his best friend did it. Yeah.
By the way, when he started it, so this last Christmas, he was able to give away $8,000 worth of toys, which is just great. I mean, that's awesome. $8,000 worth of toys. The kids wouldn't have them. Let's not pretend that that's not a great accomplishment, because it is.
Yep.
But as of this morning, the GoFundMe page for his charity, not for him, by the way, he gets none of this money. None of this is going to him or his family. This is going to his charity for these kids. His charity in the GoFundMe account was at $8.1 million.
And it was like $5 million that night, or the next morning I saw something.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think his business partner, who was his best friend, came out and said that, yes, it's great. They're going to find other uses for all this money. It's not just going to be toys for kids, but they are definitely going to find charities to give some of this money to. So
that'd be good.
$8.1 million. That just tells you, and most of that came from NFL players, NFL coaches, owners.
Other sports people.
I mean, it tells you that, yes, it's a game and they compete against each other, but they are a family.
One team.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, Chris, you could correct me. I think you posted it. Didn't Chris Jericho from wrestling donate like 10K or 100,000, something like that? So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a sports world. They're all
twice. He did it twice. He
did it twice? Okay, maybe.
Well, he messed up his name once.
Oh,
when he sent the initial, and then he sent it again.
Yeah,
so he
but you're right. It's all, they're all one big family. It's under the same umbrella. It's all, and you know what? We don't know what to make of the NFL story, and I don't really know what to think of it. Now, I'll tell you everything so who do we believe in this situation, I guess, is what it comes down to.
What are we talking about?
So do we believe the NFL when they're coming out and saying that we never told them they had 5 minutes to get ready to play? Or do we believe Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, both the coaches, the players, and the other people that have said, no, it came down from the league that we had 5 minutes to get ready to play?
I believe Joe Buck and the coaches and all that, because the broadcasters are supposed to relay information that, whatever from the league.
Well, it came so that part of it came from John Perry himself, the head of the head officiating guy. He said that he was in talks with the league office, and the league office told him to tell the officials on the field to tell the players they had 5 minutes to get ready to resume the game.
Maybe at that time.
Now, I'm just asking here, guys, and you can answer if you give your thoughts if you feel. Why would John Perry say that if it wasn't true? What does he have to gain from that situation?
Maybe at that time they didn't have proper information on what was going on. So like, okay, this game's going to be resumed in 5 minutes. Now, I don't think it should have, and I'm glad it didn't, but maybe that was his thought. Like, we don't know the information. We need to start this game up.
I see where Chris is going with that. So the play happened early or mid first quarter.
There's 8 minutes left.
Okay, 8 minutes left. I mean, did it come 10 minutes after the incident? Did it come 20 minutes after? I mean, if it came, because the delay was like an hour, then they finally postponed the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was 50 minutes, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get ready in 5 minutes," you had enough time to get a lot of information, and that's wrong. I mean, if they said it was okay, guys, let's get to the sidelines. But I believe when this report came out, everybody was in the locker room.
I'm not sure, but
they're in the tunnel part.
But I could tell you this 100% for sure, because I believe these guys when they have the conviction in their voice when they're talking about it. Zach Taylor, the coach for the Cincinnati, okay, and Scott McDermott, the coach for Buffalo, both told the same story. So that tells me they're telling the truth, because how do you tell the same story over and over again? So Zach Taylor said he went across the field. They were relaying across a radio first. That's what the league had them doing. He decided to walk across the field and find out what the situation was. And when he walked across the field, he said the first thing that Scott told him was, I should not be on this field. I should be at the hospital with my player. That's exactly what he told. The first thing he said to him when he walked across. And Zach Taylor said, I looked at him and I said, I completely agree with you. Let's go to the locker room. That was their entire conversation. So at what point were they told to get ready to play the game? Was it after that or was it before that? If it was before that, that's a really bad look for the NFL. A really bad look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I mean, at the time, we don't know the severity. I mean, we all know something majorly happened. The game's been stopped before, people's been carted off, sent home, sent to the hospital, game resumed. So if they were told in that same amount of time, okay, I can see the NFL wanting the game to go on. But again, if this came out, 20, 30 minutes after, 10 minutes to the hour, and they said, hey, we're going to play in 5 minutes, bad eye on the NFL. Gradell, whoever, should resign.
But he won't.
No, he won't.
No, but I mean, even like I was saying, they didn't think the severity of it. Well, when somebody had to be revived twice, you shouldn't have done it anyway.
Right. I completely understand what you're saying, Chris. I get you're playing devil's advocate here, and I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that stance. 100%. Right. But Joe Buck told you live on the air 18 minutes after the incident happened.
And that's a bad look.
He said
Yeah. Okay.
He was given rescue breaths and CPR before he was loaded into the ambulance. He told you that 18 minutes after it happened.
So he's
And
still on the field.
He's still in the field at this point. And it took the NFL almost an hour after that to postpone the game.
Yeah, that's a bad look
Officially.
all around.
That's
a bad
what I'm
look all
saying.
around.
In that content, it's a bad look. That definitely is 100% right. Bad look.
So, anyway, switching from that because we could have a 2-hour-long show about that, and
we'll discuss it more tomorrow or in the morning.
Yeah. The morning tailgate it'll be talked about, and that's fine, and everyone's talking about it. So more than Skip Bayless, because I still think some reprimand should come down for Skip Bayless. I don't care.
My God.
I don't care that he comes out and he said he didn't mean what he meant. I don't really. I don't care. The insensitivity of when you did it, when you sent that tweet out in the middle of what was going on, that was the part that was wrong. No matter what was said. But more than that, Bart Scott should also never appear on a television program ever again when it comes to sports. He's the guy that came out and said this is all T. Higgins' fault and he should feel awful.
What? Oh.
Yeah, and that was like a day after. That was a day after.
And that was the day after.
No. I mean, we've talked about Skip Bayless, and now this guy should be on there. You know, and I was going to say Shannon Sharp didn't show up the next day, and we all thought he wouldn't to Pardon the Interruption or whatever show he's on with. Not Pardon the Interruption, but whatever the show is called. No, he showed up the next day and kind of explained why he wasn't there. I think if he would have not shown up until they got rid of Bayless, I think it would have been a lot better. I think it would have happened.
I think so too. But more than just that tweet or that moment, if you go back, I watched a video clip from that show a couple of weeks ago, and Skip Bayless made a personal attack on Shannon Sharp.
Oh, really?
He took it personal. It was no longer a sports opinion. He said, and my words might be exactly off of what he said, but he said something to the effect of, you don't like Tom Brady because you're jealous because he's 45 and you had to retire at 35 because you were not playing at a high level anymore at 35, and you're jealous because he can still play at a high level at 45. Those were his exact words to Shannon Sharp.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, but you don't make things personal. It should not be personal.
I mean, if that's the case, I mean, then all us three should take it personal too, because we never amounted to that. And, you know, we don't like certain players or certain things. I mean, you know, but no, Skip Bayless has got to go. He's been what, in the face of ESPN 25-ish years?
ESPN and Fox, yeah.
ESPN and Fox. The guy's 71 years old. It's time to retire anyway.
The sad thing is you got to start here in Dallas. That's the sad part.
Well, that's the problem. From Dallas. He's a huge Dallas homer. Everything is about Dallas.
I know.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL, according to Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
And if they win, it's Dak Prescott that made them win. And if they lose, it's everybody else's fault except Dak Prescott because he played like an MVP. No matter what happens. That is my problem with Skip Bayless. He's so biased to his own team.
That's what a lot of experts, so they side with one, you know, person or team.
I know. And it drives me nuts because
that's the one thing that bugged me most about back in the day listening to John Madden doing Packer games.
Because
it was all about Favre. It was all about Favre, and you know, I did not like, or how should I say, It's not that I did not like John Madden. I just could not stand him.
You got frustrated.
Call him. I could not watch a game when he was doing the Packer Viking game. I could not. Any other game, I'd watch him in a heartbeat. Great guy. So
Yeah, no, I get it. I do. I do. But let's shift for a minute. Let's go to baseball. Let's talk some baseball.
all right, the Twins' big signing today.
I know two of us on this show are huge baseball fans. It's actually we'd prefer it over the NFL, and I'm one of them.
Yep.
I prefer that. By the way, I got real quick basketball. I got to tell you, I'm wearing the Spurs shirt tonight because even in a down year, even in a year when we're 14th out of 15th in the Western Conference, we're probably not going to get into that 10th spot because we lose 2 and win 1 or lose 3 and win 1. Fine.
Well, you need a better guy.
At least we can still beat the Detroit Pistons because we beat them again tonight. And that's all that matters.
Was it led by you guys' Olympic superstar?
No, actually, I don't think Johnson played tonight. Actually, Vassell's been playing way better than Keldon Johnson has anyway. But
Yeah.
you know what's interesting though is I saw that Dallas put out they waived Kimball Walker.
I heard that. Yeah.
And
After one start.
Popovich was talking about how before the season they probably should have made some kind of move to try to get a shooter like Kimball Walker on this team.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they put in a waiver claim for Kimball Walker. They'd be third in line on the waiver claim. So as long as Detroit and Houston don't claim him first, he could go to San Antonio.
Yeah, I think Walker started one game this year or this season. It wasn't that long ago. He did good, and now he's gone.
Speaking of
He's kind of fallen off.
Speaking of the Dallas Mavericks, before we get back to baseball, I know we were going to talk baseball, and we will. But speaking of the Dallas Mavericks, I was watching an interview with Mark Cuban the other day. Do you know that Mark Cuban bought the Dallas Mavericks? When he bought them for $18 million. That was
You make it sound like it's just pocket change.
No,
bought him for $18 million.
No, think about it though. He's like, my initial investment was $18 million, and this was like back in August when they had this interview, and they're like, really? And what are they worth now? And he said, my share of the Dallas Mavericks today is worth $1.7 billion. He took $18 million and turned it into $1.7 billion.
And the thing is people are signing for $18 million to play on a team like that. I mean,
right?
But they remember too that a lot of that money had to go to like the league because he kept getting fined and all of that.
Well, right. But I mean, just think about that for a minute. Think about it. Not 10 times, not 100 times. He put his investment up. Do you know what the difference between 18 million and 1.7 billion is?
A lot.
I mean, the difference between 1 million and 1 billion, it's been broken down for me before, and it's insane to think about. I forget what it, but it's something like a million is, and it's an astronomical number, but a million is like 187 million seconds or some number like that. Okay.
Yeah.
A billion is 1,000 times that 187 million. Like, that's how much difference there is between those two numbers. So when you're talking 18 million versus 1.7 billion, it's an insane amount. He has so much money. He is worth so much money that they asked him what he thought for his future. They broke it down. Like, without working, he wouldn't run out of money for like 8 generations that come after him.
Well, and then now, back then he didn't have all this, but now he has Shark Tank. He does this, he does that. He, so much
Well, and he's
stuff.
huge. He's huge in the tech world. Like that's how he made his first
Right.
billion. Was in the tech industry. But so think about that. 8 generations. Then put it into your own life. 8 generations of people that come after you do not ever have to work, and they will not run out of money.
I can imagine.
That's an insane amount of money. Before we get to the baseball, one last thing about money. Jeff Bezos. We all know he's the richest guy in the world, okay?
Yeah.
And he's so rich, by the way, that he got a divorce, and he's still the richest guy in the world. That tells you how much money he has.
So his ex-wife's lawyer was not a good lawyer.
Right. So he has so much money, by the way, that they said his net worth right now is $165 billion.
Oh wow.
$165 billion, which means he could give $1 billion to every man, woman, and child in the world, and he would still be worth $157 billion. That's how much money he has.
I'll take some of that.
He could make every person in the world a billionaire, and he would still be worth $157 billion.
God, could you see the prices of everything if we all got a chunk of that? Or what everything would go up to? Jeez.
200,000 for gas? No, I'm good.
Yeah.
So Big Greg brings up a good point. Thanks for joining the show, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good profit. 18 million in 2000 is a little over 28 million today. To grow it to almost 2 billion in 22 years is crazy. Think about that. Even if he paid that today, it's 28 million, and he's worth almost 2 billion just from the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shark Tank,
I
watched an episode where these ladies came on and they had designed some clothing line anyway, and it wasn't doing very well because they didn't know how to market it. So he said, "Sell it to me. I'll buy the whole thing from you right now." And they said, "What?" And he's like, "I'll buy it from you for $500,000. I'll buy the entire thing. I'll hire you both with a 6-figure income every year to work for this company." And one of the other sharks was like, "It's nuts." And he's like, "Do you realize I invest $500,000 in this, make it a completely Dallas Mavericks line, and I will make it tenfold in 2 years."
He ain't wrong.
So he was willing to buy an entire company, and he would end up making 10 times his money in 2 years. That's the kind of business I want to be in.
If I was on that show and he said, if I was on that show and he said that's like sold.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, baseball. What was your news, Brent and Big B?
Oh, I was only joking. I know the Twins signed. I made a joke in our on deck chat that the Twins signed former catcher. I don't know who it was, to a minor league deal, and I was like, "Oh, they're coming! They made the big signing of the year," and it was nothing. But the Twins are in talks with Correa. If the Mets deal falls through, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
Right, but how crazy is that? So he apparently signed with the Giants, and that didn't go through.
Yep.
Okay. Then he goes and signs with the Mets for even more money.
Yep.
And that might not go through. And now he's out there like, well, what do? I guess I have to go back to Minnesota because they're the only team that want to pay me now.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, don't all the teams all have the same guidelines for physicals and stuff? I mean, and granted, the Twins signed him last year, and missed it. So I don't know what they were looking for. But, of course, the Mets and the Giants are looking for something different, caught something. So I think that maybe the MLB needs to come up with the standards of questions or certain doctors that say, hey, you want to take a physical, you got to go through this doctor, and these are what we're going to be looking for, so everybody's on the same playing field. Yeah, this has turned out to be just one big circus right now, and I think it's hurting MLB right now.
Hasn't it? Hasn't it? Do you know that I actually read an article today? I read an article today that said that what Alex Anthopoulos has done in Atlanta in the front office should be banned from Major League Baseball. It should never happen, and it doesn't have a place in the game. Because their words were, he is intentionally underpaying players and stockpiling them for his own good.
And
right, and that was my point and that makes him brilliant. Like, I don't really understand what the issue is here.
So they want to ban him from signing a potential superstar to a lesser deal, lock him up for 5 to 10 years because they think it's unfair to the player or to the team or just smart management.
They use it as a team thing or as a player thing, but that came from a Dodgers fan or a Mets fan or those teams or a Yankees fan, those teams that have to pay premium price for the good players, where you get. So if you look at Atlanta has 8 players that are all-star caliber players that they have signed at least through the 2026 season, and not one of them make more than $22 million a year.
That's called being smart with your money.
That, to me, that's just smart. I mean, okay. I'm sitting down with the listening to the offer from the Dodgers or Yankees or wherever. Yeah, dollar wise, money wise, winning wise, probably makes sense. But then I sit down with the Braves, the Twins, or whatever, and I'm getting less money, maybe the same amount of years. But what they're preaching to me, I believe in. So okay, we could build a winning team here for less, or I could go and be a contender, just be another name on, the trophy or in the locker room because I was part of the team that won the championship, or I could be a superstar on the team that I built. I mean, I hope the Braves keep doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're smart with it. So we did it last year with Olsen. He traded for Olsen and then signed the big deal. Did it this year with Murphy. But if you look at all the other ones, he's done it in season. Before they become a free agent, he does it 100, 120 games into the season. He has them sign these big, long deals for not very much money. And I think that of all of them, Ronald Acuna was the one that came out and said the best thing that I've ever heard a player say after his, because he signed like 8 years, 100 million or something like that. 8 years, 120 million a couple of years ago. And everyone said, you could have went and made 3 times that in New York if you had signed with them. And he said, okay, I understand that. But if I can stay here, win division titles, win World Series, and my family still has enough money to live on for the next 2 generations, why do I care about more money?
Yep. That's the whole thing with sports. It's a lot of players, I'm not gonna say every player, is chasing the money. Chasing, maybe if I go here I can get a ring,
Right.
Instead of going somewhere where you're happy or go back home and finish out your career and stuff like that. So I give Acuna all the props in the world to say, hey, I'm staying in Atlanta, my family's here, we're not going to worry about it. I mean,
but even like your first year players, no matter the sport, some of them are really smart with their money.
Oh yeah.
And some of them aren't, and they do want to chase after that money at first. Then as they start playing and get older,
because a lot of them come from, it's the background that you come from.
Yep.
And a lot of them can't get out of that mindset that they've never had anything. And now you get this. I think it was said best by Stuart Scott when he was still with us. Rest in peace, by the way.
yes.
He said that he could always tell every time an athlete came to the ESPN headquarters, he could tell you by looking at them who was going to go broke, and who was going to have money when they retired.
Yeah.
And it was just by the way that they walked in. He said his two favorite players to always talk about and always compare in the NBA was Tim Duncan versus Latrell Sprewell. He said Latrell walked in, he's got a Rolex on each arm, he's got chains all over the place, he's got, $20,000 diamond earrings, that he's wearing all this stuff around. Tim Duncan walks in, he's got a pair of Levi jeans on with a nice t-shirt and some Nike sneakers.
See, that's how I would do.
And he's like, so who's going to have more money in 20 years?
Right. That's how I would do it.
Didn't Duncan just show up on a recent Spurs game too, and he was wearing like a hoodie and jeans or something like that? And that's the face of their franchise. One of many, but yeah, I mean, you see Jordan. I mean, Jordan's always in a suit. I don't think I've ever seen Jordan not wearing a suit nowadays. But those guys, like Stuart Scott said, he knows who's going to do it. And Latrell Sprewell, again, another player. Well, how can I feed my family on $20 million? I need more. When he was here with the Wolves, it's just like, really, dude?
Right.
I mean,
no,
yeah,
exactly the point. And it's the lifestyle that you live. It's the lifestyle you live. It's just kind of crazy. So where way too early prediction for this, but who is your World Series favorite this year on paper?
Oh man, that's tough.
I guess the Astros.
They stay healthy. Maybe the Padres in the National League, the American League. I hate to say it. Yeah, it's either the Astros or the Yankees. They're the ones making the most splashes right now. I mean,
yeah.
So Greg's got a couple of comments here. He said they gave he's talking about Correa. They gave him a physical and extremely concerned. Apparently his ego is 15 times the norm. That's the truth. And then if the Padres, if Tatis stays away from pet stores.
Yeah.
It's all true. By the way, so crazy stat of the day. Let's get to this real quick before we finish up here. Crazy stat of the day. Barry Bonds. We all know about the steroids. I'm not going to go into the whole Hall of Fame thing, but Barry Bonds has more intentional walks in his career than the Tampa Bay Rays do in their entire franchise history.
Oh, is that what I thought it was just for the last year.
No. Think about that number. That's nuts.
I mean, that is a crazy stat. And J-Mac, you pull out some great ones. I still think the Tony Gwynn one is still the best. And how are we not considering this guy the best hitter in all of MLB?
I don't know. We talk about Pete Rose being the greatest hitter of all time, and hits-wise, he owns it. But hitters, and maybe we're using the wrong word. Maybe not just hitters. Let's call it plate discipline, batting eye. Whatever you want to call it at that, Tony Gwynn is the greatest ever. I'm sorry. He just is.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe we need to do a different category. But
I mean, you're talking about
to go
a guy,
0-1 his last year, and he still would have.
So it actually, I equivalent it out. It would have been 2 full seasons plus a little more. He would have had to have gone 0 for his last 1,159 to fall below 300 in his career.
That's still just ridiculous.
That's a little over 2 seasons worth of at bats to not have a hit, and he still would have finished his career at 299.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable stat there.
The one that gets me though is the strikeouts. That one always, just because that's the game now. But there was one I saw the other day about Joey Gallo. And Joey Gallo is always my favorite guy to pick on. But they showed one about Joey Gallo and how Tony Gwynn twice in his career struck out more than 35 times in a season.
Yeah.
Twice. And Joey Gallo struck out 35 times in a 10-game span 7 times in his career.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. Big B, go ahead with your final thought. Let's go
All
with
right.
final thoughts you were gonna.
So thanks again for everybody for watching, joining. Morning tailgate tomorrow instead of Sunday due to some scheduling conflicts, but just want to take a moment and say rest in peace to my grandfather who passed away yesterday. Yesterday. Yeah, I believe it was yesterday. And
Yeah.
just want to send out the condolences to my grandma and stuff. And again, just life is just too short. So 2023 is here, and work related, it started off great, but family related, it struck a tragedy. So rest in peace, Grandpa.
For sure, Chris.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Morning tailgate tomorrow. Craziness in the NFL, we'll cover it, and just stay with Coast to Coast.
Yeah. Thanks everyone, and thanks for all your continued good vibes and prayers and thoughts, however you believe, for Damar Hamlin. But more than that, just value life.
Yep.
And remember, I heard something a long time ago. Your family won't remember what you did for them. They'll remember what you did with them. So never, ever make anything else more important than them. That's yep. And I will tell you 2023 is going to be a better year for me. Personally, I realized that about halfway through last year, and I'm not going to take a long time on this. I'm going to just tell a real quick story. It was 4th of July weekend. Family was camping, and I believe last year the 4th of July was on a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. But
I believe so, yes.
Anyway, I worked. So I went to work Friday at around 11 a.m. after having the 30th of June off. So I go to work at 11 on the 1st of July, and I was the only manager, responsible person, whatever, in the store every hour that they were open from July 1st to July 5th.
Wow.
While my family's camping, I missed every single day of that camping trip. And for what? For money? Is it really worth that? That was kind of my last straw in the field that I was in at that point. It's like, hey, I'm gonna have to take a job for a little less money probably, but what I work now is pretty much 8:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, every weekend off, every major holiday off, a day before the holiday, a day after the holiday sometimes, and I'm much happier. And some months it comes out the same amount of money, and some months it doesn't because I'm paid on a commission also. But there's nothing more important than family. And again, it took me years to see that, but it's the truth. And just make sure your family knows how you feel about them. That's what I would tell you. Don't put that off till tomorrow. Because we're not promised tomorrow. None of us are. So, But with that, Oregon Cougar stuff coming up on the 9th or 11th. I don't know why I said the 9th. I don't know. The 11th. We're gonna be out there for the fitting of the uniforms that can be handed out. They're gonna display those, or display the helmet. We're gonna do some interviews. We're gonna get some headshots. We're gonna do some intro videos. Basically kind of like a meet and greet with the team over Zoom, or it won't be Zoom, it'll be StreamYard, correct, Chris?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be what, Tuesday?
I believe it's Wednesday the 11th.
Wednesday.
I want to
okay.
say 6:30 Pacific. So Chris should be able to help me out with
Yeah.
that. I don't think that's too late for him yet.
No.
But check that out. That's going to be great. And then the season comes up. It starts April 22nd in Seattle. We will be live with you there. And so that'll be a great time. Check that out. Lots of great stuff coming. We got some stuff in the works. It'll be a great year for Coast to Coast. Hopefully a great year for all of you. Thank you for watching and listening. However you find us, we appreciate you all very much. We could not do this without you. Chuck Hoffman says, see you there. That's what I was waiting for. He knows it. So Coach Hoffman jumping on here at the last minute and saying, see you there. We can't thank him enough for everything he's done for us. Chuck,
I want a hat.
Chuck, you're definitely one of our we're your biggest fan. How about that? Let's say that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll see you there. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Lifelong dreams being lived in front of your very eyes, and we'll see you all on the other side.